Which Twitter is off. Let me hit go live there. Well, welcome to the 7 o'clock talk. And we are in our front room chilling. It's been really a nice week, hasn't it? I mean, 70s. It's been that perfect. We've had the convertible out, rode the motorcycle once. It's been beautiful. But tonight we are going to talk about male hormones, and we're going to talk about man boobs and what causes man boobs. We're going to talk about erectile dysfunction, and we will talk about depression, and so what happens with that. And as we do this, we're going to look at a young man's GI map, or sorry, not GI map, his Dutch, and we'll go over what this shows us and how it is significant to the case. So I'm Dr. Trevor Miller, and I've been a chiropractor for over 30 years, and I've been in the functional medicine space since the birth of my first daughter in 1997, trying to figure out what's going on, what is mitochondrial disease, how do we help optimize this, and trying to actually just give both of them the best quality of life that I can, or we can. I am a double certified functional medicine practitioner from both the Institute for Functional Medicine and the University for Functional Medicine. And I am a Kalish certified practitioner because the universities give you lots of tools, but they do not give you the framework. And Jessica, my lovely wife, is an RN, BSN, and she has been on the floor of the hospital for 13 years and has since removed herself from the floor. She's our patient educator, and she is a certified geriatric nurse and nurse preceptor. So you teach nurses.
And a student of the A4M.
Yes. And so we make up the treating portion of the I want to say institute. We make up the treating portion of Integrated Health of Indiana. You'll be working with both of us, and we offer this. We're teaching about hormones and why hormones are important. This is our third week talking about the Dutch Plus, and we do all the education. We do all the patient contact. We do all, if you're talking to anybody other than us, you're talking about billing, and we don't do that. With that being said, let's talk about man boobs. Let's talk a little bit about cell phys real quick. So your cells in your body are always listening to the environment. So they're listening to hormonal signals. They're listening to mitochondrial input with energy. And so when we're doing that, one of the big things is males and females both have estrogen and they both have testosterone. Males have more testosterone than estrogen, and females tend to have more estrogen than testosterone. So yes.
I don't know if that's correct.
I know when you even out the picograms.
Yeah, I don't know. So hormones are measured weird.
Yes.
But both male and females actually need more testosterone than they do estrogen. Women just have more estrogen than men.
Yes. But when we're talking about this in guys, the big thing, the important thing here is that I just got to laugh. Every time we talk about female hormones, PCOS or whatever, we have dozens of eyes. And we're talking about male hormones, nothing. And the funniest thing about that is our patient experience. Yes, 80% of our patient encounters are women. But what do the women bring along for the ride?
They all have husbands, and when they start feeling well, they drag them in, and they get dragged in. and then they start optimizing themselves, and then they come in willingly, and then they want to optimize themselves. So
it's just funny because
men want to feel good, and then they want their men to feel good too.
so once the women feel better, and the funniest thing is it's all about sex. But so somebody just missed the first part of that. You'll have to go back and watch the beginning. Anyway, so when we talk about the cells are very sensitive, and different types of cells are sensitive to different hormones and everything else. Breast tissue in men and women alike is very sensitive to estrogen. So if you are an estrogen dominant male, then you will have breasts. And we have patients who have had to have breast reductions, and then we're going in and we're balancing everything out. That looked like it made you think of something.
No, I was just going to say that if you've ever been told you have gynecomastia, that's where men grow breasts.
Man boobs.
And some men can exercise that away, and a lot of them cannot. And so if they cannot and they can't live with them, they reduce them.
So we're going to go in here and we're going to start to look at the first page. You guys are all pretty familiar with the first page if you've watched the other ones. So we had an interesting discussion with somebody on Facebook talking about the made up malady called adrenal fatigue. So we'll use what the medical field calls adrenal fatigue. The medical field calls it HPA axis dysfunction. They also don't call it leaky gut. They call it intestinal hyperpermeability. They still have them. They just call them something different. But when we look at this cortisol, this young man came into us. He was tired. He was moody. He had, I said tired, so no energy. He's gaining weight, lack of desire. What else?
Joint pain.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Brain fog.
But really he was getting a lot of anxiety because he just didn't feel well.
Yep. And so when we're seeing this, look at how low the cortisol goes. And then it shoots up in 30 minutes like it's supposed to. And then it comes back down. So he actually has a really good pattern. But if we go to the cortisol page and we start to look at this, all of his cortisol basically is all low. His total cortisol is at the low end of the range. So when we see that and we're looking at this, the thing you have to start to think about is your body has to have cortisol. It's what wakes you up. It's what gives you energy. It's what, if you're startled, will give you a shot or a boost of energy. You have to have cortisol. So what we start to see in this young man is what we call the pregnanolone steal. And when we see the pregnanolone steal, what happens is the body takes the mother hormone, pregnanolone, and because you have to have carnivores unite, because you have to have pregnanolone, or you have to have cortisol, the body will automatically start to shunt this to make more cortisol. So it'll steal it, so you can't make your DHEAS. So you will be worried. You're going to be aromatizing stuff. His testosterone is on the low end. His DHEAS is on the low end. And we see his estrogens, because he's tired and he's fatigued and he can't do anything. His estrogens are aromatizing and they're going through the roof. And when that happens, everything that he has going on, he doesn't have a lot of testosterone, joint pain. He doesn't have a lot of DHEAS, which feeds into this, and it helps get your body all the hormones, all the male hormones. He doesn't have enough to make them all. Actually, going carnivore for a short period of time to help reset insulin levels is good, but then you start to destroy the microbiome and it becomes more pro-inflammatory. That's why people who go carnivore or even keto for a long period of time, they feel really good. But then what happens to them is after several months, they start to feel like crap because they start to get more inflamed. They start to have bugs called Bisophilia wadsworthia and several others that are very pro-inflammatory start to populate the microbiome, and then we throw all of this off. Again, we see it time after time. But going carnivore, going keto, and using that to control insulin is the thing. Well, you do it for long enough, you'll find out if you're the exception or not. So once we get back to this case and we're talking about how the hormones work, and we see that he's worried, he has brain fog. Look at his estrogen levels. He is so estrogen dominant. And if he stays that way, and he wasn't eliminating, now he is, if you're not doing that, then that stuff just backs up and keeps on recirculating and recirculating and recirculating. And so it causes bigger problems. And men can get certain kind of cancer. They can get breast cancer, but this can also affect the prostate gland and start to get prostate cancers and stuff like that. So we've got to start to straighten this out. And this young man has been with us how long now?
Just like a few days over a month. He started on the 9th of
last month of
13th.
July.
I'm sorry, the 13th of July. So right at a month, just a few days over.
So what ends up happening with him is he came in with 100 and some odd medical symptom questionnaire points, and now he's down to, I think, what was it?
72. He's also lost 20 pounds. He just lost 3 pounds of fat just this week.
Uh-huh.
So he's doing it really, and that was just with the implementation of the elimination diet. So,
and he's doing some supplementation.
He's supplementing some of his hormones and eliminating the things out of his diet that he's sensitive to.
Yep. And so when we see these estrogens high like this, think of your body as it needs testosterone. Testosterone is kind of what drives the want, the desire. And when your estrogens are so high, that gets suppressed. And so we have to clean up the estrogens. We have to get the elimination going. And as we start to do those things, then what happens is that all starts to come back online. And that's exactly what we're seeing in this case. So let's see what's good for you. So he was 372 pounds last year, and he's at 190. Good for you.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. If you watch any of our other videos, we start with sleep. That's one of the first things that we absolutely start with. You got to have sleep. You got to have nutrition. You have to have movement. You have to control stress. And basically, your community is last. So this gives you an insight as in, a case of erectile dysfunction is not something that's just as simple as, oh, your testosterone's low, we're going to shoot you up with testosterone. Because if you don't start to repattern this cortisol and get that into that rhythm that it's supposed to be in and get it at the levels that it's supposed to be in, your body will literally steal the pregnanolone, and you won't have what you need to keep the proper levels. That'll get shunted to cortisol at the sacrifice of everything else. Because if you think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have to have, you got to be safe, you've got to be sheltered, you got to be fed. And then eventually it thinks about propagation of the species. So these things have to be in line. And it's all about balance. I mean, that's what we end up seeing most of the time anyway, don't we? It's all about, hold on, let's remove that. There we go. It's all about the proper balance. Proper balance of stress. Proper balance of a dog trying to get mom's attention.
Go lay down, Lippy. Go lay down.
Let's show them. The dog is like right here. Anyway, so if you have any questions about hormones, how to get the hormones tested, if you have a hormone test like this done and you want it read, we are happy to take time to talk to you about this. And you can reach us at Dr. Miller at Integrated Health of Indiana or Mrs. Indiana Backduck at gmail.com. Thank you, and we'll see you next week for the final installation of the Dutch Plus.